Hey guys, Professor Bill of Comic Book University, and this week's Spotlight on Story, this is one that's been requested. Alright, it's here. A lot of people requesting this. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. This is going to be the first story arc, issues 1 through 6, BFF. There may be more, because yeah, I sat down to read this first issue finally. I own the first issue, but I was trying to find all the issues in physical copies. Some of them were a lot harder to find than others. It is what it is. And I figured, you know what, I don't really want to wait anymore. So I just went on Comixology and just boom, grabbed them all. Yeah, I just wanted to read the first 6. I think I stopped at issue number 23 because I'm like, dude, I don't need to read this far. Not yet. I'll go and read the other ones later. I need to actually do the Spotlight on Story. So I binge read the heck out of Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl. Wow. Now, Devil Dinosaur, of course, started in Devil Dinosaur way back in 1978. He was created solely by Jack Kirby. It wasn't exactly the greatest comic in the world. There were only 9 issues. I've had discussions with people before, particularly Jim Starlin, who's explained that when Jack Kirby does something by itself, it's going to be a really imaginative story, but you're really going to appreciate the characters and feel for the characters when Stan Lee joins in with him. And in this particular case, there was no Stan Lee to join in with this. So, yeah, 9 issues, and it was kind of, it was cool. If you want to see the first issue of Devil Dinosaur with Moon Boy, and that's actually his real name, legal name, birth certificate, not really, there was just a, what are they called, the Marvel, for crying out loud, the recent ones. Every week, they put out 3 or 4 of these issues that are only $1 each. The True Believers series, there we go. That was actually just put out earlier on this month. Devil Dinosaur issue number 1. That's his first appearance. Boom, you're golden. Also, feel free to check out Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. 10 things about Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur in Comic Book University. You might learn something. In the meantime, yeah, this is one hell of a catchy story. Now, don't expect a whole lot to happen in each of these issues. The first one, a lot happens. After that, you're going to have to get through the first arc to really start to get into the really amazing stuff. But it's still an enjoyable comic book. It's still an enjoyable first volume. It's just after that, hold on to your seat because it's crazy. All right, so let's get into this. The writers on this are Brandon Montclair and Amy Reeder. Amy Reeder does not stick around particularly long after this first volume, but she's missed. She's also did the cover. So this beautiful, gorgeous cover where you see Moon Girl about to kiss Devil Dinosaur, which actually this scene happens in the comic book. Beautiful, beautiful. She is actually responsible for that. So, wow, woman of multiple talents. I loves it. The actual the interior artist for this comic book, this volume, and just for the title itself, for the series, is Nacha Bustos. The colorist has consistently been Tamara Bonvillain. VC's Travis Lanham does this, I think it's most of the first arc, it's at the very least this first issue, but the letters do intermingle. Excuse me, and this is back in the time when they were doing the hip-hop variant covers. This particular variant cover, hip-hop variant cover was Trevor Veregi? I think it's Veregi. Man, I wonder when they're going to start doing the rock and roll covers, man. Like, when are we going to have the 4th Zeppelin album there with Doctor Strange on the front, They get sued. They get sued so bad. But I still wouldn't mind seeing, like, the Abbey Road cover for the Beatles, with, what do you call the 3 main Avengers, Cap, Iron Man, and Thor. And then, Spider-Man walking. Also, Spider-Man has his no shoes because, and why not have, like a subway scene on the front of a cover and just in London, and on it says, Thor is God, and underneath it just says in parentheses, duh. Come on, man, use your imagination, peeps. Let's see some good covers. So, in this particular issue, we see a whole lot of crazy, man. Here's this little girl, Lunella Lafayette, and of course her nickname is Luna. Luna is the name of our moon. All the moons have a name. Our moon's name is Luna. So the sun is named Sol, just S-O-L. A lot of you are going, duh. Some of you guys are saying, really? University, huh? So Luna's just sitting in her classroom, and she's like, oh, I love science, but I don't like science class. This is something that's going to really bug me, but it's a persistent thing throughout. Lunella is known as a very smart girl, but she's also known by her science teacher as a know-it-all. That's always cute. It's always cute when your science teacher does that. This is just one of the most relatable comic books ever. All right, I've been a teacher since 2009, about 2009. But I did, substitution and things like that. And in 2011, I actually started working as a full-time teacher. And I started in the third grade. And let me tell you something. I understand why kids don't like school, because too many teachers don't make it interesting. And I keep on saying, it's like, listen, you will know the difference between a good teacher and a bad teacher when they get that question from that lone student that everybody is also wondering that same question. Teacher, what am I going to use this for when I'm older? If the teacher says, trust me, you'll need it, that is a bad teacher. That is a bad teacher. Because a good teacher will explain to you why you need it. Okay, let's move on. So here's this teacher she's a horrible teacher. Calls her a know-it-all. Repeat after me. She's the kind of teacher who would want you to memorize the periodic table. Why do we need to memorize the periodic table? Scientists, chemists don't memorize the periodic table because they can always just look if they need it. So it's pointless. It's absolutely silly. What do you call it? So this she's asking about the theory of evolution. Why is it called the theory of evolution? Well, the difference between a theory in street lingo is very different from the scientific meaning of theory. So yeah, it wouldn't be considered a theory amongst the common folk. It would be a fact. It would be a fact. But Lunella tries to explain that, but she's bored in trying to explain it. The kids right away, okay, Moon Girl, Luna Lafayette, and plus her head is in the clouds, so back home with her parents, and all we ever really see is the science class, which is fine. Math class we already know is typically boring, English class, whatever, we do also see her gym class. There's a whole lot of dodgeball in this, and yeah, that makes sense. Lunella, mind you, is in 4th grade, so she's already gotten to the idea where people are absolutely different. Around 3rd grade is when you start to realize that everybody's different. You start to separate into different sects and whatnot, but in different groups. But in the 4th grade, that's where it's painfully obvious. It's so obvious. This person is different. That person is different. I'm one of these people, not one of those people, So you start to find your own places, or you get put in your place, according to others' ideals. So we get a whole lot of gym class dodgeball, and she gets hit in the head a lot, the face once in a while. She's not very good physically, but it is what it is. When she actually becomes her full-bred and humans are ridiculously tough. So we'll see a huge change as she gets older. As far as when she gets home, both of her parents work, and here's one of the problems with child prodigies in a capitalistic society, is that, hey, we got to work, got to put food on the table, and why can't you just be good in school? Why can't you just behave and not be so rude all the time? Because she's an unbelievably smart individual, and she's bored out of her mind. Whenever they say, what'd you learn in school? And she says nothing, it's because she already knew it. But she's a little girl. She's in 4th grade. What does it make her, 9? She's like 8 or 9 years old. She can't, come on, man. Come on, man. She can't articulate the same way. So, because she's just not in control of her emotions, entirely. She's young. She's learning. She's learning to fit in a place where she can't fit in. So all of these crazy things are happening. Meanwhile, she doodles in science class, but her doodles, mind you, are the creation of a Kree detection device. She's trying to create a device that will allow her to detect technology created by the Kree. That's pretty wicked. That's really wicked. Anyway, in the process of her doing these things, she comes across she goes out and she comes across this this device. All right, it's a Kree omni-wave detector. This has been in existence, I think, Avengers '93, if I remember what I looked up earlier on in the day. Was the first appearance of a Kree omni-wave detector. It's been used several times. It was used to accidentally send Rick Jones, I almost said Rick James, hey, Rick Jones to the negative zone when he was trading places with the Negabands still from way back in the Kree Skrull Wars with the original Captain Marvel. So, wow, a whole bunch of craziness here. She finds this device, and the device in the past, or a different version of the device in a different world, I think it's Earth 1048 is Dinosaur World. That's where Devil Dinosaur is originally from. The killer folk, and those are introduced in the first issue of the, and they're almost all throughout the Devil Dinosaur run. These are a giant folk, and Moon Boy is considered to be the first human, although he's very much, very hairy, looks much more chimpanzee than anything else. Jack Kirby was really smart, but he wasn't actually a scientist. He just looked in a bunch of science journals, so, yeah. Anyhow, Moon Boy had discovered this device. It was called like the Night Stone or something by these people, these killer folk, and they were very feared people, back in the day, back in the in dinosaur world. So everything, they would hunt everything and anything, and they are actually responsible for the origin of Devil Dinosaur. Go check out Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur, or 10 Things About Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur in Comic Book University, and they found this device, and they were going to use this device to make a sacrifice so that they would have a better chance of killing Devil Dinosaur, because he plagues them. Basically, he doesn't let them kill as freely as they used to. So, as he's going out there fighting off like 3 of them in one place, 2 of them show up someplace, or fighting 2 of them, 3 of them show up. Anyway, Moon Boy winds up getting killed. He's holding on tightly and dearly to this device across his chest. Moon Girl herself is holding on to this device because her gym teacher comes up to her and is like, Lafayette, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's sitting there holding on to this device, and the guy's trying to take it from her and everything like that. She's like, no, give it back. And she holds it the exact same way that Moon Boy is. And you can't say it's the exact same time because it's not, but maybe it is over in that world, because mind you, this is a different dimension. This is an entirely different Earth. So it's not, a different part of our history. No, that's a very different history. But more on that, it's about current with ours. So they hug it about the same time, and boom, suddenly a gate is opened. These 5 killer folk come through it, but so does Devil Dinosaur. So that's how the first issue ends, and the second issue begins with them trying to get this device, and they do, ish, but they do eventually, I should say. But Devil Dinosaur picks up Lunella. He's just got this affinity with her for some reason. What do you call it? She's being picked up by her teeth, and I love the art in this, man. You gotta appreciate the art, because while it's not the most sophisticated, like, the latest, it's not going to look like an Alex Ross painting or something like that. It's just not. It is a very kiddish looking art, but it still begs you to understand what's happening. There's a part where you're actually looking through Lunella's glasses. You're looking through her eyes and what she's seeing, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see how this is actually drawn. Fantastic. You got to appreciate this art. So she's basically trying to guide Devil Dinosaur. Excuse me, she's got this little sparkly device that she controls by remote, and Devil Dinosaur's like, ooh, I want to see this. Starts chasing, and meanwhile she's stuck like this because he's holding onto her backpack. She's got all these incredible devices that she's created. She's got a device that it's like, if you ever seen Inspector Gadget, he's got that thing that comes out of his hat, and it's a big rotary device, and he's able to fly like it's a helicopter. She's got one of those that comes out of her backpack. She's got this glove that it's a boxing glove, and it's spring-loaded. It'll crack somebody across the teeth with it. She can also grab things with it too, so not too shabby. She's got these roller skates that she rides on, and a rocket could come out the back to make her fly faster, or to make her move faster on the roller skates. Hey man, if Iron Man could do it, Lunella could do it, so I don't even want to hear that. Go check out the Mark V armor and the things that it could do. She's also got the ability to spring load the thing. She's got a taser that she keeps on her side that she can turn on, and it can actually knock out Devil Dinosaur, dude. Like, she's got device after device after device. She's killer. She's awesome. And mind you, she is not actually she's an Inhuman, but she hasn't been Terrigenesis activated yet. So her brains are her own. That's not because of Terrigenesis, all right? That's not her power or anything. In fact, the reason why she's trying to find these Kree devices, all right, this is already explained in the first issue, but it is something that persists throughout for a long time, because you don't even discover that she doesn't even go through Terrigenesis for like the first 2 volumes or so. She's trying to avoid Terrigenesis. Now, mind you, this is not too long after the Terrigen bomb has been set off. So this is before the Inhumans versus X-Men and all that. There is still a huge Terrigen cloud that's just billowing around, and it goes through New York City and all that stuff, and she's trying to avoid it because she's afraid of what might happen. Now, her parents are she knows that she has the Inhuman gene. Her parents apparently know it also. I don't know which one, if not both of the parents have the Terra gene, but the Inhuman gene. But the idea is that they all know about it. And like, but honey, this is just what you're going to be. This is what you are. It's a part of your heritage. Even Miss Marvel says that at one point. Except that there's some people who turn into, a human door. There are people who just like, it's crazy. Some of the forms that they take. So I could understand her not wanting the power, because it's not just a power. It's a whole thing. Plus, her power actually winds up screwing her over a lot. You're not going to find out what her power is in this first volume, because it's just not meant to be. Anyway, she's just all over the place. And unfortunately, so is Knucklehead Devil Dinosaur. Now, these killer folk, mind you, they've never been interesting before. They've always just been a threat. Here, they are made to be so freaking hysterical. They're bad. They're bad people. They're bad non-people. But they're made to be very funny. They rob people. They're first off looking. They're a lot smarter than they appear to be in any of the other shows before, any of the other comics before. They learn English pretty fast, and it's funny the way they learn English. They're hiding in a subway and they're watching people. they go off and they start stealing all the right things. So now they got clothes on and everything. They just, oh my God, it's great. They actually, mind you, she grows up in Hell's Kitchen, specifically on Yancey Street. So yes, the Thing does get involved. Much later, you'll come across some Daredevil, but right now it's just the Thing will eventually show up. Wow, man. These guys wind up taking on the Yancey Street gang, these 5 killer folk, and they win. So now they've taken over. It's crazy the side stories that are going on in this huge story. Again, each issue may seem fairly unfulfilling, but read as a whole, you're like, how did they fit so much in these stories? How did they fit in so much, and I didn't even realize they were giving us so much? It is masterful, the way they fit in so much. So Moon Girl does go out a lot at night, trying to figure out life, trying to figure out things, at this point, she's trying to figure out if there's a way to avoid getting the Terrigenesis on her. She winds up at one point being captured by the killer folk. Yeah, not a good look, being captured by these guys. And yes, they are planning on sacrificing her, but they also want this Night Stone back, as they call it. Devil does wind up saving her several times, and it's cute the way he does this, but he also causes a lot of trouble. He is a dinosaur. He's basically a bull in a china shop. He's a huge dinosaur, and mind you, your average dinosaur is like your average T-Rex is what, 30 feet tall or so, 30 feet long. Devil Dinosaur is a lot bigger than that. All right, he's not quite Godzilla size, but yeah, he fought Godzilla once. Yeah, you go back and check those out. Godzilla used to be a Marvel property for like 2 years or so. So these killer folk wind up getting away with the Night Stone, the Kree Omni Wave device at some point. Lunella, in the meantime, while she's trying to get this device back, she's in school, and in the bottom of the school in the sewers, she's got a secret entrance, probably more than one, to get down to this place. She's got a hideout. It's a huge hideout, and that's actually where she's storing Devil Dinosaur. Multiple entrances and exits, but at least one of them through the bathroom, and it's probably the cutest thing in the world. Now, of course, no good deed goes unpunished, right? But more than that, a messed up deed by a crazy dinosaur definitely doesn't go unnoticed. So, mind you, this is in the period where none of the heroes were actually the heroes. There were other people taking their names. Issues with that, whatever. Amadeus Cho was the Hulk at this particular point. And I don't know if you like Amadeus Cho. I like Amadeus Cho as regular Amadeus Cho. I liked him as the Hulk for a little while. Glad he's not the Hulk anymore. The Brute, I like him much, much better as the Brute. Not quite as powerful. Too many Hulks, man. But what's cool is that he shows up as the Hulk. And he's got to take Devil Dinosaur in. He's like, nope, I know Devil Dinosaur. This guy's got to go. Got to take him away. Lunella's getting in Amadeus' face, and he's like, listen, little girl, I know you think you're really smart, but I'm the 8th smartest person in the world. And I love when he brags like that, because it's like he's happy that he's come in 8th place. He's happy that, I don't care if it's the whole world or not, he's happy that he's not number 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the silliest thing. And he's also extremely immature, just not as immature as Lunella, you know, because she is much younger. Regardless, he kind of feels for her, but he's still got a job to do. A lot of this comic book is people feeling like, and by this comic book, I don't mean this issue. This is issue 4 by now. It's not just the idea that everybody's trying to do their own thing. It's everybody's trying to do their own thing and thinking that this is what they're supposed to do. And the only person who's realizing that she doesn't know what's going on in life is Lunella. And it's one of the many reasons why this comic book is so damned relatable, you know? Everybody thinks they know what's going on, and no, they really don't. So even though she makes an impression on Amadeus, and that will come back later on, he still has to try and take in Devil Dinosaur. And yeah, he is much stronger than Devil Dinosaur, but Devil puts up one heck of a fight. And as resilient as Devil is, he's nowhere near as durable as a freaking Hulk. So Lunella tried to interfere. Devil stopped her. It's like, no, I have to do this by myself. Amadeus is not quite so honorable. And even while Devil's back is turned, he's still hitting Devil. So, yeah, Devil gets taken down. It was not fair at all, but he was going to win regardless. I mean, let's just face facts, all right? Anyway, he gets taken away to the Museum of Natural History. It doesn't take long for Lunella to figure out that's where he's being taken, because she's got ways of finding people. She kind of basically found Dr. Doom once by using an imitation knockoff version of Cerebro once. Yeah, that's Lunella. So that's much later in the comics. What does happen, though, is Devil gets taken there because this is one of the places, the Bronx Zoo, I think, is the other place, where giant creatures can be held until further, whatever, transfer. Lunella's going to go in there, she's going to break him out. And it's funny, because issue 5, when this happens, this is the first time you actually get to see Lunella in her costume, the yellow suspenders and shorts and all that stuff, and the goggles. Yeah. That's what you actually get. So this comic book gives so much breathing room to just enjoy a story. It's not like, okay, we got to hit him hard, we got him fast, we got him with everything. No, this is a ridiculously lengthy origin story for this character, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm telling you, I always talk about this a lot of times. Comic books need room to breathe, and this comic unabashedly says, oh yeah, we going yoga. We're going full yoga on this. So, Qigong breathing techniques, right? I used to do that when I was younger. So, what have you now? She breaks into the museum. She's going to rescue him. She's got to go and try and get the Kree Omni Wave, Kree Omni Wave projector back. She does, and it's a huge fight, but at one point the killer folk are just like, okay, we don't want no more of this. They do come back later on. So does Moon Boy. Yeah, I know. Weird, right? But Anyway, they're gone for now. She finally gets the device back. She's ready. This is issue 6. She's ready to kick some booty. She's ready to make this device to protect herself from the Terrigen Cloud. But all of a sudden, here's the Terrigen Cloud. She's like, I've got everything I need right now, but I'm all out of time. And she gets hit, and she turns into the chrysalis. Devil Dinosaur is looking like WTF, picks her up, and brings her back to the hideout in the sewers under the school. That's the end of issue number 6. Oh my God, this is an amazing, amazing freaking book, man. So later on, you'll find, guys, you gotta read. Go and honestly, I feel like unless you need to have these in regular comic book form, then you should be okay with digital, because you'll get them all a lot faster. If you actually want a physical copy but you don't need the individual comics, I highly recommend that these books be read in trade paperback. If you guys ask me what's the best way to read these, I would say the physical copies of trade paperbacks are definitely easily the best way to do this. Don't bust up the spines. Don't bust up the spines. Pet peeve of mine. But these are brilliant books to have on your shelves. These are gorgeous, dude. They have to be read as volumes, though. If you just read an individual issue, I don't know how you're going to necessarily get into the character. I understand the need for having the issue 1. No blame on you there. I've got issue 1. I got a whole bunch of other various issues. There are a bunch of first appearances here, like Girl Moon, which is a really lovely story. It's a sad, lovely story of basically Ego's daughter, Ego the Living Planet, his daughter. There's Princess Pin, I think she's called. I haven't gotten to those stories yet, but a lot of people tell me Kingpin's adopted daughter, dude. First appearance right there in this title. Come on, man. Kid Kree. He's actually supposed to be Captain Kree, but no, he's Kid Kree. He's in this. Oof, man. That's also a beautiful story. That's actually what comes up next. Once you realize what her powers are. And her powers are, go and check out 10 Things About Girl Devil Dinosaur. But you start to finally learn some of this stuff later on. Her meetings in this, because at first this comic is unabashed. And it's in many regards that it's that way, all right? The people who write this comic book, they don't care about filling each issue with a whole bunch of action. They let the action come when it's time for action. And they let the reading happen as it's going to happen. This really feels like a little 9-year-old girl just living her life, who's obviously a lot smarter than whatever. But beautiful comic. Beautiful. The art is exactly what it needs to be for this to be the comic that it is, man. It doesn't make a lot of sense the way I say that, but when you read it, you'll understand. You'll perfectly understand. This fits this book. The art fits this book perfectly. It reads nice and smoothly, easy to remember everything that happens in this book. Not a whole lot to happen, but when it happens, it's great. Whole lot of first appearances that are actually endearing. This is a very endearing character. When you meet up with Miss Marvel later in this book, I think it's in the next volume that Amadeus does return, and he administers this is the first appearance of the Banner box. It is known that Bruce Banner created this device that is supposed to... It's basically a version of Tetris that determines how smart you are, and nobody has ever been able to solve it before, but it's how fast and how far you get that determines who the smartest people in the world are. So Reed Richards, then Dr. Doom, and then whoever. But it was also only men at the time, and the test wasn't administered to anybody else. Also, this is not a standardized test. This is basic pattern recognition, which is the very definition of IQ, intelligence quotient. So there is no, well, this is a standardized test. It's meant for these people, not those people. Einstein's idea which is a brilliant idea. If the standard test to prove intelligence was the ability to climb a tree, then a monkey would feel like a genius, and a fish would feel like he was mentally handicapped. So this is a very fair device to be followed. And yeah, he was able to create this. Not only did Lunella do this test better than anyone else, but she actually finished the test, and she finished it in about 10 seconds. Meanwhile, no one else has been able to even finish the test. That includes Reed Richards. So later on, this test would be administered to a lot more people, and the places of who was where in smartest people in the world would change radically. Lunella is great because you see from the beginning she tried to apply to the Future Foundation multiple times, but it was failed, which is such a shame. She's when you do discover that she's the smartest person in the world, she's like, oh, of course I knew it, but even her parents are like, I didn't realize that she was this smart. She still unfortunately got to go to school. The story would be, very radically different if she didn't continue going to PS20. This is in Lower East Side. But man, fantastic comic book. Absolutely fantastic comic book. There is so much character progression in this. There's story progression. Plot is furthered in not every issue, but when it's time, it happens. Go ahead, find a fault with this comic book. I dare you. It's amazing. It's amazing. So a lot of people telling me to read this comic book. I'm going to tell you something also. I actually wanted to read this comic book. It was because this comic book was coming out that I started doing comic book reviews. But I wound up getting so caught up in so many other comic books that I had to review at the time, including Infamous Iron Man issue #1, that I wound up missing the first issue of this comic book. And I didn't have the wherewithal in my plans to go back and grab that one and just go, and it's such a shame. I missed out. I 100% missed out by not starting with this one, which was my plan. But little known fact, this comic book, issue #1 of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, I read everything I read about the comic book. It was something that I really wanted to read, and that is why I started doing comic book reviews on Comic Book University. And it's kind of a minor tragedy that I didn't read this when I did, but better late than never, I suppose. Anyway, that's going to be it, guys. Definitely, highly recommended grabbing this first volume and all the other volumes as they come out. Like I said, this comic is best read in volumes, and I'm always going to recommend the physical copy over the digital, is what it is. All right, guys, I'm out. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.